What's up, YouTube? Eugenius here, joined by my fellow perfume snob, Kristo. Got a review for you from COMME DES GARCONS, and this is a black. And I know Kristo's reviewed this on his channel many years ago, I think.
Yeah.
Right upon release date. From what I remember, you enjoyed it immensely.
Very much. I did get it a little after it was released, but pretty soon-ish. But yeah, I loved it. I still love it.
We did a seasonal video, I believe last year, winter, top favorite winter selections, and you had this.
Yeah, probably,
in
as
there.
I recall. I was kind of parted from my bottle for a couple years, and then I got it back, and I only had like 10 mil, and I went through it in one season, which is pretty good.
And it's all done now.
Totally done. Yeah, totally
Plan on
done.
repurchasing?
100%, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
I just want to put this out there before we start reviewing. I've always wanted to do like a, let's say, top 10 wackpack starter kit or something. Yeah. 10 perfumes. You know, I'd have you in there as well, and just have 10 perfumes that we really love, or even like 10 top shelf perfumes. And after getting to know this for the past few weeks, I would definitely have this in there. It's got basically all notes that I love, like but even though it's got very heavy notes, it's not a very heavy perfume, I find. So black is adequately named because it does have, I visualize that black color. And a lot of the notes in there are, black pepper.
Just tar, birch, tar.
Smoke.
Yeah.
Leather, birch. I get some other kind of spices in there. And sometimes I think my mind is playing tricks on me, but right on initial blast, I can't decide if it's cumin or clove or cardamom, but it could be any one of the three. I'm not sure, but it is super spicy when I spray this on. Licorice, we were just talking about this. I don't get a whole lot of licorice from this.
So something I found from when I did my review, probably in about 2013 or 14, I found a lot of the spices to be just kind of a general spiciness. Now, I get something that I would consider to be licorice, that I would say would be a little closer to licorice than aniseed. I know they're very similar, and they have like kind of similar qualities and whatnot, but I would say it would be more towards like a dry, woody, licoricey kind of smell.
It's a very dry perfume. And right off the bat, the initial thing I pick up is black pepper, like a woody pepper.
So I never really found pepper itself. Again, I found more like this just kind of array of spices.
I'm clobbered over the head with black pepper. And it reminds me of the black pepper they use in their black pepper.
Mm-hmm. You have a bottle of that.
I have black pepper here somewhere.
But I remember that being very cedary. But yeah, anyways, it's just like this milieu of spices and stuff. And I remember in my review, I kind of described it as someone who's cooked something and it's just started burning. So they've started cooking something really spicy and it's just burnt.
Yeah, I think I remember you saying somebody was cooking like a chunk of tar in a pot.
Yeah, someone's like cooking road tar and it starts burning.
And it just filled the house with smoke.
Yeah,
and I can see what you mean, but to me it's just so dark and gothic and smoky. Like, I get a lot of smoke from this.
And okay, so that's the thing. It's like, is incense listed or is it smoke?
It is incense, like Somalian incense.
Oh, okay. Because it's not like, to me, a church incense. It's more like smoke.
I can see incense, but to me it's way more smoky than it is incensey.
Like someone burning their tires out or something.
Yeah, I don't get much of that rubber, like the burnt rubber accord.
Really?
No. To me, if I had to...
Well, okay, it's more smoky food, burning smoky food that I find. Because it's I don't want to call it gourmandish, because it's not, but it has food-like qualities to me.
If I had to, like, associate a visual with this, it would be in the middle of a deep Canadian winter, out in the log house, fresh snow outside, and the only source of heat in this place is coming from a wood burning stove.
Okay.
And you got fresh logs in there. It's just fresh, crackling, smoking, burning wood.
I can see that.
A little bit of black, almost like a candle.
Really? You've got quite a romantic image of it. Whereas I find it to be like menacing and strange and abstract and, like...
It is quite gothic and dry, but Comme des Garcons are known for their synthetics. I don't find this overly synthetic. This to me smells way more natural than synthetic, even though it's probably all synthetics.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It doesn't smell like cheap, harsh chemical synthetics.
Yeah, definitely.
It's very wearable, for me at least. I've had my 13-year-old here the other day, and I sprayed some for him, and he just kind of like recoiled.
Yeah, I remember you sent me a text.
Like, oh wow, like why would anybody wear this? And that never even came to my mind that this is offensive. This to me is just totally wearable.
Really, see, I love it. As much as I love it, I find it to be quite loud and daring and bold and strange. But so it's interesting because there was a friend in the Fragcom, like he doesn't review or anything, so I'm not going to mention his name or whatever, but in my initial review, because I talked about that, and I mentioned the comparison to Patchouli 24, which we've got just sitting off camera here, and I kind of described black as Patchouli 24 on bath salts, which back at that time when people were like doing bath salts and then eating people's faces, that's what I thought of this. It's just like hysteria to me, like abstract art, like just a canvas painted in 1,000 shades of black by someone in an insane asylum.
See, they're very similar. I can definitely see the similarity, Patchouli 24 and black. But to me, Patchouli 24 is much more butch and less refined, which is weird because it's triple the price.
Yeah.
And Comme des Garcons are known for making their synthetics, but the craftsmanship on black just completely blows Patchouli 24 away. It's almost like, and I loved Patchouli 24 until I got to know black, and then once I discovered black, I was like, it kind of brought Patchouli 24 down a few notches for me. I was like, for almost triple the price, there's no comparison. No. They don't stand next to each other.
I agree. And so I had Patchouli 24 was made first, and I owned it before I owned black. And I remember being kind of disappointed in the dry down of Patchouli 24. So I do have some on my hand. It's the first time I've tried this in probably 6 or 7 years, like properly on skin. Maybe 5 or 6 years properly on skin. And I remember kind of thinking of Patchouli 24 when I first got black, and then I tried them side by side, and I was like, okay, there's definitely similarities.
Yeah.
I don't think they're made by the same person, because we weren't able to find a definite perfumer on black, and Annick Menardo made Patchouli 24, and I don't think Annick Menardo did much work with Comme des Garcons, so it's probably a safe bet to say she didn't do it, but there's a small likelihood, right?
Yeah, you never know.
But yeah, so trying them side by side for the first time in like 6 or 7 years, it's like I'm almost embarrassed that I liked Patchouli 24 so much at one point. Now, it's a bad description.
Well, it's still a great fragrance, but
yeah, no, I get it, and they're similar but different, and I can see some people liking Patchouli 24 more.
It's louder and more obnoxious and rougher around the edges is the way I would describe it.
Yeah, I get a real chemical feeling out of it, and I mentioned this when I first sprayed it on like 20 minutes ago, maybe half an hour ago. It's like, it smells like pickles in the opening, which I never really picked up before.
I know you used to complain about the vanilla in Patch 24.
And the dry down. So in a couple hours, so one thing about Le Labo you have to give them credit for, they make very long-lasting fragrances that for the most part do have very long, drawn-out transitions.
Yeah.
It's like, you talk about Santal, what is it, 33?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, at around, the 12-hour mark, I start getting like, cacao in it or something. It's just, what I mean?
Right.
Whereas, with
it's
this
still developing, and the notes are still
24 hours
popping.
later, yeah.
Which is interesting because the black, to me, it's not very. It doesn't develop a whole lot, but it does come at you in layers.
Yeah.
And it does, every now and then it pops out something different on your skin, and you're like, oh wow, what was that? Like, where'd that come from? So it's a nice little surprise throughout.
Yeah, for black, I get kind of A to B. I get a very distinct opening that lasts for about 20-30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it's like the dry down that's from like 30 minutes for 6-7 hours,
Right.
whatever. And yeah, it is like kind of one set of notes and then a slightly different, more stripped down kind of set of notes, because there's a lot of similarity. But yeah, I find, very much like a lot of Comme des Garcons, they're not insanely complex. You get a basic opening and then a pretty basic dry down.
But they pop. I get pops at different depths and levels, which is really cool. I like that a lot.
Well, I think that's what's genius about their synthetics is they're using accords that can be interpreted as so many different notes. And that's why I love hearing actual people that are into perfume and into Comme des Garcons talk about them, because they'll completely disagree on notes for them, because you just get so many different things. There's Comme des Garcons perfumes with nail polish accord.
Yeah.
And that can just be interpreted as so many different things, which I love about them. But this is very different. Like you said, I think that's a good description. I don't really find this to just smell like synthetics.
No, not at all.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No. I also get a little bit of texture from this, and it feels, just a little bit of herbalness.
Yeah.
And I want to say herbalness I usually get from lavender. Oh. I can't imagine, lavender's never come to my mind, so it's probably got to be coming from patchouli or something.
Well, okay, so I was going to say I can see a little bit of the licorice or anisey kind of having some of those kind of herbal qualities. There's something in this called mace, which I'm not overly familiar with.
Pepper spray.
I believe it's a spice or an herb. And just based on the very limited number of fragrances that I know that have mace listed in them, I can kind of guess what it would smell like. And I think it is along that kind of brutish, spicy, peppery, or spicy, woody.
It's extremely spicy to me. Very, spice is one of the main accords.
But there's no cinnamon. I don't know.
Cinnamon.
You said you got vanilla out of this, but I don't.
I get vanilla kind of in the air, but it's a very bland vanilla with very little sweetness.
Okay, right.
It's not like a sugary vanilla.
I'm getting a lot of ISOE. I think it is on the patchouli 24, a lot, which puts me off.
And I struggle to pick up any licorice. I'm actually sitting there searching out this licorice, and I don't find it.
Man, I get the licorice
I look for the anise, I look for the licorice. I'm like,
you can't find either.
I'm just bombarded with spices, birch, cedar, and smoke.
So I think the birch and the spices, and again, that's kind of what I mean about Comme des Garcons. I get a lot of licorice out of it, but I don't really get pepper.
I get a ton of pepper. And the birch is associated with leather. I don't get a whole lot of leather from this. To me, it's more suede-y.
I don't get
kind of it fits in with that herbal texture, almost like a suede, a suede material. That's what I get. A suede birch.
I definitely get birch, but not a smoky birch tar birch, if that makes sense.
But it's just a pure smoke bomb to me. I think weird. Log cabin in the woods or an old cathedral.
Really?
Without the incense. A cathedral without the incense, just a ton of smoke.
Like a cathedral that's had a fire in there or something.
Possibly, yeah. It's just like a smoke bombardment.
Yeah. I love it. I genuinely I think you saying this should be part of the wackpack, starter
pack or
I like that idea. I think it's good. I think it's a good idea. Cuz I would honestly put this in my top 10, I would say.
I'd back that.
Close to top 10 ever.
It's not very accessible. It's not crowd pleasing. It's affordable, I think, for a
Very.
niche fragrance of this caliber. And the quality, craftsmanship, the construction is amazing.
So at full retail, it's about half the price of Le Labo. It's about 150 Canadian for 100 mil. You can find it discounted slightly for about
I got it for
115,
quite a bit less.
120. But yeah, like it's just...
It's top shelf for me, definitely.
I think now that I can smell them next to each other, I think, considering they're not exactly the same and no two perfumes are exactly the same.
They're not, but they do a lot of similar things, and I'd be more than happy to get rid of my Patchouli 24
like
now.
the Who Wore It Better black, no question.
Yeah, absolutely. Hands down. No comparison.
Yeah.
Especially at the price point.
I'd love to find out who the perfumer is. If someone can link us up with an
it was
actual...
Buxton.
Yeah, so that's kind of why we were talking before, why we really wanted to find out who did black, because obviously many people know Vetiver 46, done by Mark Buxton for Le Labo, who also did CDG 2-Man EDT for Comme des Garcons, which are both very similar. And I've said this on my channel before, pretty much exactly the same thing Eugene just said about Patchouli 24 in black. 2-Man EDT beats the shit out of Vetiver 46.
I remember you saying that, and I thought you were crazy, and now I don't doubt it.
Yeah. And it's like pretty much same price points. And I think when I try Vetiver 4, is it 46? I think it's 46.
Yeah.
It's just, and it's the same perfumer, which is just, it's interesting. He says, oh, well, it's a lower end house. It's a inferior perfumer, blah, blah, blah.
Lower price.
But it's the same perfumer with a house that costs twice as much that has lower distribution. And it just, it's an embarrassment. Like when I try the Vetiver 46 next to 2-Man, it's Buxton. So I'm obviously not kind of faulting him, but it just kind of shows you what they're putting in.
Yeah, it almost feels like these Le Labos are unfinished.
Yeah.
That's what they feel like when I'm smelling them, but...
So I guess it's just, I've heard people like, perfume snobs kind of making fun of the type of people that buy Le Labo. And, I have no problem with Le Labo in general. I think it's the outrageous price point and the heavy aroma chemicals.
Yeah. And it does go to show that price doesn't always mean better perfume.
Exactly. It doesn't mean it's more natural. It doesn't mean it's higher quality. It doesn't mean it's better blended. It means jack all. But yeah, I think it's it. I think it was on Base Notes. There was a thread on there maybe in the last month or two, and it was just like entitled like Le Labo, who buys this junk or something, and I got a kick out of it. I read the thread, and it's just such fragrance snobbery, and it's like that stuff's for like Brooklyn hipsters that buy $100 beard oil, and you know what I mean. I was laughing about it because I can kind of see that. I can go into like the Le Labo boutique in New York.
I feel like you're
fly
taking a dig here.
Why do you have $100 beard oil?
No, I don't, but I have a ton of Le Labo that I'm not particularly crazy about.
Well, but so do I. So do I. I bought a lot of it. I bought a lot of Le Labos, but I ended up regretting them.
Yeah.
Or just being so underwhelmed by them. But I'm buying them for the quality, and I'm just finding the quality's not there.
I feel ya, man. I feel ya. But, I'm almost certain there is some kind of cumin or clove or a touch of green cardamom right in the opening.
Clove is
in the opening to this, I love it. Like, I fucking love it.
I know clove is a very commonly used note in Comme des Garcons.
It's got to be clove, because anything with clove in it is just like drives me wild.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really get clove. I don't know. It's so funny because I'm like, the licorice is there. It's right there.
No, I don't see it. I don't feel it. It's just way too dry and spicy for me to find that licorice. Where are you, licorice?
I don't know. It's so funny that we can get such different things out of it.
It is weird. To me, it's like dry,
and we both
dusty
love it.
Church.
I've never really seen it as like a church or religious fragrance, but anyway,
I love it.
Yeah, I do as well. I'm definitely gonna rebuy it. I think I've just kind of padded my winter wardrobe up pretty good over the last couple years, like not having winter for, the first 6-7 years of my fragrance collecting. I've just kind of really started to appreciate winter fragrances.
All right, let's kill this. Anyway.
Yeah, there's our review of Patchouli 24.
Let us know what you think of Black. Let us know what you think of Patchouli 24. Let us know what you think of the differences are.
And I would love to know the perfumer for Black.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.